Okay, so we have done it, just as I've been saying for quite some time. As a matter of fact, all of this, I started complaining about all of this way back around 2010, because I was actually involved in property at the time. And I noticed that we really recovered way too quickly from the overpriced housing market as it stood at that point in time. So we're going way, way, way back to that point in time. Harper and the big banks helped to kick that can down the road. And then when Justin Trudeau got elected, at first everything seemed a little bit okay as far as finance goes with this government, but things got worse and worse and worse and worse. They've done everything they could to prop up the property values. We've heard some ministers say that we can't allow the property values to fall because it is a nest egg for the boomers. We've had massive amounts of immigration, and now we're really learning that that was in order to suppress wages for Canadians, for large companies, and maybe some smaller companies as well. We've had absolutely fraudulent, it seems, colleges bringing people into the country, and then people expecting that they'll be able to stay here and have a good job. Well, there aren't a lot of good jobs left. But anyway, all of that's been going on, and the theme of this YouTube channel has been, as long as we continue to prop up housing values and we create condos that people can't actually live in, and we allow rents to skyrocket, as more and more of our money goes into real estate and shelter, more and more businesses are going to fail because a larger percentage of the population will not have any money left over to spend on any other goods. And it's absolutely happening now. We are at 15-year highs for bankruptcies in Canada. Okay? So this is going way back. These highs go way back to the period that I'm talking about, where we didn't actually allow the recession to happen in Canada that we should have allowed to happen. And so now we are finally at the end of this. I have been hearing all through 2024 that the housing market is going to rebound in 2025. And, I don't see how it's possible. We've got Toronto heading towards 10% unemployment, if we're not already there, in a shadow kind of unemployment area. Also, the people that are getting laid off, a lot of them are going to have severance, and they're not going to be on the EI rolls until a little while after, right? So there's no certainty anymore with all of these bankruptcies. Everyone knows people that are getting laid off or just losing their jobs now. That does not make people confident in getting a $700 to $1 million mortgage, even if rates are going to go down. And they are going down in Canada because we're in a desperation move now to keep the economy from completely crashing. But it won't help, you know. And I think I said in a previous video that, I've learned something about when you actually are going to see the crash. And the crash isn't when the interest rates go up. It's when they go up and then they realize we can't handle it and they lower them and it doesn't help. Nothing is helping with Canada right now. We're getting worse. 2025 is going to be worse than 2024. And there's a few reasons, and I keep harping on this, and I've been talking about this for so long, and maybe it's because I worked in high tech and I saw all of the brain drain from Canada and companies being purchased by Americans, right? Because we won't help them here. People are not. I was just listening to Bloomberg the other day. There was like, well, other than Shopify, high tech in Canada is garbage, right? Yeah, maybe. But we have not been able to invest in productivity. We have not been stellar on the high tech front, and the high tech front has been going on for so long now. And we'll get into that in a bit. And we have dumped all of our money into real estate. And we see it around the world. These private equity funds are also dumping money into real estate, and they are absolute pariahs on the economy. Now, I would say pariahs on the people, but economists, a lot of them don't care about the people. They only care about the economy. Well, guess what? It destroys the economy because the more you drive these prices up, the less money people have to spend. Therefore, more bankruptcies. Therefore, more unemployed. It's going to cost the government money. It's going to cost people their livelihoods. There is no good news coming out of Canada today. It was all predictable. It's all about governments that would rather save their own asses than do the right thing. And the right thing to do was when we saw speculation skyrocketing in Canada on properties, what we should have been taxing every sale. Every sale. I don't care if it was the family home for 50 years. Too bad. You can't allow this to destroy the economy. And we have now. We have. People in Canada hate taxes. People are very cheap with taxes, although they pay ridiculous amounts of taxes because they always vote in people that will tax them less, and then we go further into debt, and then more taxes are added, and it's just, it's foolish. And now, on the federal level and provincial levels, we have massive, massive amounts of debt, which are going to turn into higher taxes, this at a time when people are going bankrupt already. So congratulations, Canada. Due to our inability to get behind actual productivity and our absolute obsession with property and not working in the productive economy, but instead flipping houses and building condos that nobody can live in, etc., 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 we have now crashed the economy to the point where I think it's going to be worse than anything I've seen in my entire lifetime. There is going to be a reckoning, and I don't know how we're going to get out of it because now we have so much debt that how are we going to make the investments we need to make in order to be productive? Now, we see this all across the Western world, though. Germany is in has massive problems. You know, we're talking about layoffs at auto manufacturers where they've almost never laid anyone off, right? Britain, UK is in the dumps as well, right? Now, the thing is, a lot of this goes back to leaving the gold standard a long time ago, right? And allowing more and more and more debt with interest and having irresponsible people at the helm that want to push the problems down to the future. And now we're in the future. But let's talk about the United States. United States is coming up all roses right now, right? Everyone's throwing their money into the United States. It seems to be in the Western world the last safe place. But let's not forget that the United States every 100 days has $1 trillion more of debt. The only reason the United States, there's two reasons the United States is getting away with all this. Number one is the petrodollar, which is still there. It has not been destroyed. And the other is massive amounts of innovation that they did over the last several decades, where now they are the front runners in the AI race. But things aren't as rosy for the United States as we think, because there is no sure sign that they are going to be able to make all of the chipsets required in the United States. You know, they do not believe in their own employees. We know this now because of the whole H-1B or whatever it's called fiasco, where Elon Musk and Donald Trump says, no, we need to bring in people. They do not have faith that Americans, right, can do the things that need to be done in order to further modernize the American economy. Another thing that's going on in the American economy is that the focus on high tech has shifted. AI is the future, right? So it's getting hundreds of billions of dollars of investment, if not trillions, and stock purchases and all that other thing. Everything else has been forgotten. So in the past, one of the great things about the United States as far as high tech goes is that they had small companies all over the place that were innovative, right? And often they get purchased by other companies because some companies are getting too big now, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they have had, you know, a lot of these startup companies. That is dying off. And you'll notice that the CEOs that are being brought in and the private equity companies that are taking over all these companies, they do not care about the employees. They do not care at all. There is a mission to absolutely degrade the employee and to lower their wages. And the H-1B visas are being used to do just that. But then you ask yourself, why are they bringing in these CEOs? We used to have somewhat decent CEOs in the high-tech world because they think it's done. They think it has been decided who the winners are. There's not a lot of investment coming in for startups unless it's AI. And even those, they disintegrate very quickly sometimes, and the employees end up at Google or Microsoft or whatever. So this is actually a very bad sign for the United States. Talk about putting all of your eggs in one basket. The belief is that AI is the future. Everything else has been settled. No one cares anymore. And that's a risky play for an entire country and trillions of dollars to decide, right? Now you might think, well, no one's going to defeat the United States. Why are you worrying about this? Listen, the United States just got completely, along with the rest of the Western world, destroyed as far as electric cars go. Everyone's still talking about Tesla. China is the leader in electric cars. Okay? It's so bad that we can't, literally governments are saying we cannot allow the Chinese to sell their cars here because all of our companies are going to go bankrupt. That's how bad it is. So it's a complete failure, right? There is still no certainty that they can, in the United States, become the chip leaders in the world. There are some good news stories, but there are other things that, Intel has been, where has Intel been all these years, right? But that's very complex stuff where you have to upgrade, and the upgrades are massive amounts of money, and no one's willing to do it, it looks like there. But my point is this. The Western world is falling apart. NATO may even be falling apart if Trump follows through on things that he has said. That means huge expenses for Europe, right? Either way, it's huge expenses for Europe. And at the end of the day, it looks like the United States is the only one standing. But I'm telling you right now, they have very poor CEOs as far as high tech goes. They're dropping the ball completely. They also have funds that invested way too much in real estate. And they're investing everything in AI that could be very, very detrimental to the employees of the United States and also for the electrical grid. The absolute expense required in the next 7 years is ridiculous for AI. So this is not the end of the story on AI. We need efficiencies. The reality of the situation is that computing today is based on paradigms from the very first electric binary computers in around 1938, I think it was, where we've just used brute force to push more and more bits through these systems. And NVIDIA, I have to say this the right way. The NVIDIA processors that we're using for AI use a ton of electricity, okay? They've got multiple cores in there, 128-bit buses, I think, with 64-bit CPUs just pushing as fast as possible everything through there. Now, I don't want to say that they're inefficient in comparison to a regular CPU, because if you were to use a regular general purpose CPU to try to do the same thing, it would be far more expensive and use even more electricity. But this is a very inefficient system. We're getting to the very inefficient point of binary systems. We are burning and burning and burning electricity and in order to keep these things going. And we don't know if the payoff is worth it yet. We still don't know. Microsoft seems to think so, but Microsoft has enough money that they've essentially purchased a nuclear power plant to run their AI systems. Microsoft's always been go big or go home, I guess. I don't know. but that's the point. So there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I could be wrong about the CEOs right now in the United States, but I don't see a lot of positive stuff, especially when you see CEOs of these companies from Silicon Valley and related cozying up with Trump, whose best buddy is Elon Musk, who is a person who absolutely hates employees, from what I can tell. We saw what he did to the employees at Twitter. We saw what happened to the employees who, I guess they did repairs and installations of the power things for Tesla. They're gone. Wiped clean, gone. Every single one of them. So no, I don't believe that any of these CEOs are decent at all. I don't think that they have the working class of the United States in mind. They have their survival in mind, and they have the investors in mind, and that's it. And that is not a good sign for the future of the United States. So there are warning signs there as well. And also you have to wonder, how long can the United States maintain a path of growth when the rest of the Western world is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking? So there's no good news stories, But yes, the United States seems to be in the Western world the last place for investment right now. Anyway, I know this was long-winded, but the summary is we did everything we could to keep the housing market from deflating in Canada. Now we are paying the price for that, and it's going to be an awful price, and there are going to be generations lost, because we know if people can't take off within the first 10 and 20 years of their career, that is hugely detrimental for them. And it's a very, very sad thing. And it is very much on the politicians, but also people, the investments they chose, and how they chose to live their lives, and what they chose to believe in. And what we believed in Canada was skyrocketing house prices. We loved it. We were part of it. And now we suffer because of it. Good luck to everyone. It's going to be a rough couple of years.